Hello everyone, I'm Dio. I'm going to be showing you how to stream OSU tournaments, and more specifically, how to stream for Dio's Bizarre Badgeless Duel, my own tournament. The very first thing you are going to do before you do anything else, if you don't already have it downloaded and installed, is you're going to download and install OBS Studio. OBS Studio is a free and open source broadcasting and live streaming software and video recording software. This is the gold standard that pretty much every live streamer that I know and every tournament streamer I know uses to stream matches. What you're not going to do is download Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs OBS charges money for a lot of features, for the full features of the program, and is not any better than OBS Studio as far as the vast majority of people are concerned. So just download OBS Studio, Windows, Mac, or Linux. Download it, install it, follow the installer's instructions, and then come back to this video after you're done with that. So the next thing we're going to do as we get set up is you're going to set up a profile. So you're going to go to File and Settings in OBS, and I'll actually full screen this. I'm going to go to File and Settings. And there's a couple of things you're going to want to do. You'll have a stream key in here. You'll set your service to Twitch. You'll set the server to auto. In my case, you can I could also set it to Toronto because that's the one that I'm closest to. But auto is just fine. We're not going to do this connect account recommended here. In general, we're going to go back to general over here. I'm going to make sure that specifically this is checked, and all of that should be good. You can also check this box if you want to automatically record when streaming. I will ask for local recordings of all of the matches so that I can upload all of them to YouTube after they are done. But for posterity, right? But you don't need to have this checked as long as you can auto record. In the output section, you're going to do 6,000 kilobytes per second in your video bitrate and an audio bitrate of 320 ideally. I use software encoding. You can use hardware encoding, but note that sometimes hardware encoding will give you encoding errors, and for me that actually stops stream sometimes, so I don't like using it, especially when my PC is good enough that I can just use software encoding. You can keep these as default. These are pretty normal. You'll have a recording path that you can set for recording. You can just make it high quality. That's fine. And of course, I just use, again, software encoding, blah, blah, blah. These are not super crazy settings. If you have trouble with software encoding, try hardware encoding. In audio, you're going to have your main speakers, the things that, your headphones come out of or your speakers come out of as your desktop audio. And then you're going to have a second audio device. So, for example, one of your monitors would do here, as long as your monitor is muted. I use the headphone jack on my microphone. Not sure why it has one. But I use the headphone jack on my microphone to a desktop audio too. And then, of course, your normal microphone. If you also happen to be commentating, that's important. If you don't happen to be commentating, you can actually disable this so that there's no chance that any of your audio from your microphone goes through to OBS. And then down here in advanced, we're going to set the monitoring device to your default audio device. So the same thing as desktop audio. And we are going to click disable Windows audio ducking right here. Make sure that's enabled. That's all the important stuff. The rest of this is going to be basic. You're going to, stream 60 FPS. You're going to stream 1920 by 1080. The hotkeys you can set up however you want, and you don't really need to touch any of this. So I'm keeping all my settings the same. And then we are going to go ahead and download a couple things. So make sure all those settings are good. And we're going to download our streamer pack. Google will say that it can't scan the file for viruses. Whatever, we're fine. You'll notice the streaming pack doesn't actually have the tournament client included. We'll go over that soon, TM. But for now, we are just going to go through this right here. And I'm going to open this up. I'm not going to purchase a WinRAR license. I am going to extract this into just the downloads folder is fine. Ooh, cancel. Cancel that. I'll put it in there. Okay. And now if I go into my downloads, I have this folder right here that has everything I need. Now, what are you going to do? How are we going to use this, right? We don't have a tournament client set up. Well, here's what I do for all of my tournament client needs. I have a specific folder called OSU Tourney Clients where I have every separate tournament client for separate tournaments. This is a good habit to get into if you are using the tournament client. So I'm just going to copy an osu.exe from a past tournament. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to paste it and prepare your ears. It's going to be loud, but we're going to get this OSU client open. I'll actually turn the volume down before this happens, probably to about half. And
welcome to us.
Yeah, quite loud.
Click the circles.
Okay, I'm going to turn that down before my ears burst.
Circles.
Okay, so now we're just going to log in and click remember password. Very important as a streamer. Remember password.
Click.
I'm going to copy and paste in my password once I grab it.
Circles.
Now, a couple settings that you want to make sure of. You want to make sure you're on the cutting edge release stream. Why? If you're on stable, the tournament client is pretty bad. It doesn't work very well. You can turn off full screen mode. Not going to need that. You can also turn off minimize on Alt-Tab during full screen. You really don't need to have that on. You do not need the FPS counter on. You don't need any of these on. This is all fine. We can turn off snaking sliders. We can turn off background video. We can turn off storyboards. We can turn off hit lighting. We can actually leave snaking sliders on. That's fine. That can stay on as default. But all of the rest of these should be off. You can turn off parallax on the main menu and turn off the snow. Seasonal backgrounds for this tournament should be set to always. Different tournaments will have different preferences. Some tournaments will want you to never have seasonal backgrounds on. I prefer them on.
Circles.
I also prefer to have the key overlay on tournament streams, so you're going to turn that on.
Click.
The rest of this you can keep as default. And the rest of this we can all keep as default. The rest of this will be automatically set, except for automatic cursor size. You're going to want to set that. If you plan on playing on this, you can also change your gameplay settings, although I think most people probably will not plan on playing on this.
Click.
Okay, now you'll notice in this folder, not in this folder, in
Circles.
this folder, we have a user.osk. We're going to go ahead and drag that right on in. Click and drag the skin in there. And now we have user.osk right in there. Perfect. Awesome. Wonderful. We have a couple of other things to do here. While we have this open, may as well. We're going to go into the skins and go into user. And we're going to go into the tournament folder, and I'm going to replace this with the background.png from here. And into this folder as well, we can drag our tournament.cfg. The tournament.cfg is going to have the correct one when I actually put it on there for DBBD. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead over to the main sheet, and we're going to grab the map pack for round 32 and download that. And click download anyway, and save it and open that up. And you can actually just shift all of those and hover over that and then drag them right in, and every single map will go right on in immediately. let the calculations run. And close up. Okay, great. So now we've got most of our tournament client set up. There's a couple of things to talk about here that I'll go through. The tournament.cfg has team size 2 because this is a 2v2. It has height 720 instead of 1080, so you can actually click the manager section of the tournament client. We'll go over that soon. Client name size is 70. That means the client names will be 70 pixels tall. All this does not matter. Just note that it's default. The acronym manages what lobbies actually show up. So only lobbies starting with this sequence of characters will show up in your tournament client. And yeah, that's it. You could also add a custom frame limit equals 60, but I recommend not doing that unless your PC is pretty bad, because the OSU tournament client is very poorly optimized and doesn't really work all that well at making sure that every frame gets through. You've probably seen tournament bugs before. So yeah, I would not enable that personally. The other things that we've done here, we've added a skin. The skin is titled User because whatever skin is titled User is what the tournament client uses. We changed the tournament background because this is what actually shows up as the background on the tournament client if you create a tournament folder in your skin, in the user skin in particular. And last but not least, we pulled in all of the round of 32 maps so that there are no cases where any map has trouble getting updated or, needing. In fact, I'm going to just double check something here. Good. Okay. So none of the maps will need to be updated mid-match or anything like that, which is great. So everyone should have all of the maps as a streamer and not have to, go manually download the maps or something like that if their tournament client breaks. Sometimes, if you don't have a map pre-downloaded, the tournament client will actually break, and you will not be able to actually get it to work unless you close the tournament client, download the map manually, and then reopen the tournament client, which is a pain in the butt. Now, there's a couple of other things in this folder that we're going to use. We have this DBBD.json. What is this? Well, this is an OBS Studio JSON file. This can be imported in your scene collections, and you can grab, I'll go ahead and go in here, go into here. And now look at that. Beautiful. So now I gotta find this logo1.png. We'll search directory. I swear it's in there. Guys? It's right there. There it is. Perfect. Okay, so there's our JSON file completely good. We have all of these actually set up properly. You might have to get, for example, the starting soon video or the ending now video. You might have to get those yourself, and I'll have the timer set up in there as well. The TLDR is that we're going to use a program called Snaz, where you set a particular format for the timer, and you set the date and time for a timer, and then you set the message when done, and you use a text that reads from a file. Very simple. I'll also include the specific font that is used for streamers when I push the stream back to live, so that everybody has it. Okay, great. So now we can actually go ahead and do the very last thing. You've probably seen streamers be able to share a screen cap or a screen share with commentators so that commentators don't have to use the tournament client. That's not going to be mandatory for this tournament, but it is good to know how to do it. So I'm going to show you how to do it right now. Remember in OBS when we set desktop audio 2? If you change your OSU client to desktop audio 2, whatever that was set to, in my case it's headphones 3 Shure MV7, And now I look in here. If we change this, go to Advanced Audio Properties and change this to Monitor Only Mute Output, the audio from OS will come through desktop audio too, instead of through just normal desktop audio. But it gets monitored through your desktop audio. And so what ends up happening is you get the audio coming through a separate source, played on OBS through desktop audio. That second part is important. Played on OBS. And so instead of just capturing all of the audio, it is capturing a specific audio and playing it back into the main audio track. And what that lets you do on OBS is you can create a windowed projector or a full screen projector. And if you screen share this in Discord, it will have the audio attached to it just from the tournament client. So for example, if I go in here and I click this and I go to windowed projector, and usually I'll do 720/30 for my screen shares. But now there's a windowed projector preview, and that has the audio from OBS in it, specifically just from the tournament client. So this is a very simple way of doing it that makes it so that your commentators have a screen share of exactly what the viewer sees plus tournament client audio, which is great. Now let's actually open the tournament client and go through how to use it. To do that, I'll close OS first. And now that I have the tournament.cfg file in here, I can just open OS once again. I'll give you this disclaimer to be responsible. And there we are. Okay, and this is what it actually looks like on OBS. You have the logo, you have the random JoJo background, and you have everything else associated with it. Very cool. The tournament client itself, let's go through that now, since we've done pretty much everything in OBS. You'll get the timer set up. You'll start maybe 5 or 10 minutes before a match starts and leave it on the starting soon screen. You'll already have chat here, and then you'll switch to gameplay when it's time for the match to be played. And then if you're ending the stream, you'll switch to the stream ending scene. Very simple. We just have normal fades here. Some tournaments will have more complex setups. For this tournament, we're doing a very simple one. In the tournament client itself, you'll see multiplayer rooms down here. If I make a lobby, I'll show you that right now, actually. MP make DBBD test. There we go. So you'll see, now I can actually see the lobby chat right here. If I send a message in here, it'll show up on the tournament client. Right like that. Perfect. Working as intended. There's a couple things here. The best of, for a round of 32, we're going to set that to 9. In future rounds, you can set it to 11 or to 13. Sorry, 13. There we go. Note that if you set it to 15 or higher, it kind of breaks, so don't do that. This one, though, best of 9. And we are going to look at a couple of other things. A couple of important buttons here. Toggle warm-up removes the stars and stops counting wins. If you want to add wins manually, you can do so by left-clicking. If you want to remove them, you can do so by right-clicking. If you need the music to stop stuttering, let's say. The music sometimes stutters on the tournament client. You need it to stop stuttering, you can click Sync Music. And that'll restart the song. And that usually fixes the stuttering bug. If one of the player's clients is not loading in, but they are in the room, what you'll do is you'll hit the panic button. That usually fixes it. Hitting the panic button when a map is over also resets everything. So for example, at the end of a map, on the score screen, if you want to get off the score screen and go back to just the normal clients plus chat, you can just hit panic and it'll instantly bring you back to that. The last thing is that you can actually get this blue stuff out of here, or like one of the last things. You can get this blue stuff out of here by using the keyboard command to reload a skin. Control Alt Shift S on each client. Not sure why that works, but it does. Lastly, if a player's client doesn't show them, and it doesn't have their name, but you know they're in the lobby and in that slot and they are playing, what you can do is these are actually clickable. You can interact with these. It's actually possible to play in a multiplayer lobby in here. You can't play in solo, but you can play in a multiplayer lobby. But these are interactable. You can change the options individually per client. Some tournaments may have multiple skins, one for the red team, one for the blue team. This tournament's not going to do that. I'm going to keep it simple. But in case a player's client doesn't show them playing, doesn't show them in the lobby, but you know they're there and you know they're playing, what you can do is click this and hit exit, and it will automatically reload the client. And you're going to keep doing that until the player shows up. There is not a better fix for this as far as I know. And it just sometimes happens and you got to deal with it. So yeah, that's that bug. I think I've gone through most of the other common bugs. Sometimes, for example, let's say a player will load in with the wrong mod on a free mod map. You can just hit the panic button and that'll restart it. Most bugs are solvable by just hitting panic. In the event that a map is... Here's a couple of other like edge case scenarios, because the rest of this is literally you just watch the match happen and you let it stream, and if you're commentating, you commentate. If you're not commentating, you're kind of just sitting there. Maybe you can mod chat, you know. The other thing for edge cases, sometimes players will load in with the wrong mods on a free mod map, just hit panic. Sometimes a player will stall out. You can usually just hit panic there. Sometimes a map will get uploaded, or updated, excuse me, in the middle of the week after you have loaded in the map pack. If that happens, what you'll need to do is close the tournament client entirely, remove the tournament.cfg, so I'm just going to put it in here, open OS, normal OS. If you remove the tournament.cfg, it just becomes normal OSU again. It becomes windowed like this. And then you can just go in and update whatever map needs to be updated, and then go out, close this again, put the tournament.cfg file back in here, and reload the tournament client. Simple as. You might have to do that if a map gets updated midweek. The only map I can think of that happening for this tournament would be Hidden 1 in round of 32, so double check that map before the match starts if you are a streamer. But other than that, it really should not happen all that much for anyone. Okay, that's pretty much it for streamers. So you will have a particular stream key that I'll give you. You will have mod perms to interact with Nightbot to change title. And you will have this set up, ready to go. And that should be it. I hope you found this useful. This should be a more full introduction to the tournament client and to tournament streaming for pretty much everybody. If you need any other information about the tournament.cfg file, I go a little bit more in depth in my other OSU tournament client tutorial video. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. But as for this video, that should be all the information that streamers for this tournament need. Of course, I think the only other major thing with the tournament.cfg file is sometimes you will have other team size tournaments. Obviously, you can set it anywhere from 1 to 4 if you are a normal person. 4 would be the max, because the most players that the tournament client can display by default is 8 at a time. So 4v4, 8 players in total. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your streaming endeavors.